What up, what up, what up, football fans all over the world? It's your boy, Mac the Giants fan, here with my guy, the super dope co-host, Adam Costas. You don't know what time it is, man. It's time for that real deal NFC East round up. Punch that intro. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Real Deal NFC East Roundup. I am Mac the Giants fan, here with my super dope co-host Adam Costas. Adam, how you feeling today on this Wednesday afternoon?
I'm feeling like the season can't get over any quicker, at least for our teams, right? I mean, I don't want it to be over because I love doing the show with you. And obviously, if the season's over, we can't have this fantastic show that we do and put together for you guys and put out there. But if you're just after Monday's game, after watching the entire NFL have game after game go down to the wire, I'm exhausted. And I feel like these next 5 weeks they're going to go by fast because of the holidays, obviously, and things going on. But man, it is like you can't wait to get it over to see what's in store.
Yeah, I'm just like, thank God for week 14. Thank God for the New York Giants bye week. Thank God I don't have to sit here on Sunday and watch this pathetic ass team play on Sunday, and I can just sit back, crack a couple beers, and enjoy some football the right way. Because this oh man, I agree with what you said. I can't wait for this season to just come to an end. This has been a nightmare, man. I envision this being an improved year, and it's just been. I mean, in some ways, you can look at some ways. If you want to look at a silver lining, and you saw some sparks of goodness, I guess, in a sense, but not nearly the kind of goodness we want to see. We want to see results. This is, like you said, a result-driven league, like you always say. And the New York Giants still cannot figure out ways to win football games. And then just what we saw Monday night, they just went out and got flat out embarrassed. But let's talk about them later. Let's let the show get going. Daniel, how you doing today, buddy? Thanks for always popping in. You're always one of the first ones in here. Happy Wednesday to you, man. We appreciate you, Daniel, as always, man. But let's get right to it, man. Sunday night football. Washington Commanders hosted the Denver Broncos, and which was an absolute epic matchup on. And if you want to see a game in prime time where it's the only game you get to focus your eyes on and watch, this game here delivered on all cylinders. Sunday night football, the Broncos, the Commanders. The Commanders gave them everything they could, man. And look, with a backup quarterback and a lot of the other injuries and things this team has got going on, and all the problems this team has had, they came off of their bye week and they came out swinging and they came out fighting, man. And what's your thoughts on the Sunday night football, man?
Listen, the Sunday night game was a good game, even though the Commanders lost that game, which one play really cost them, which you don't always know when that play will cost you. But in the grand scheme of things, this one play cost them, and it's not two plays technically. The one play is Mariota's interception when he jumped up and threw the ball. I think he was trying to throw the ball out of bounds, didn't quite make it there, and it got picked off. Had they had a chance to get 3 points, they are driving for the game-winning touchdown and win, right? Not necessarily having to go drive and get a touchdown, do all the other stuff they had to do. So that one play is crucial in the game. And you don't know when that is going to be, but it's not like, I mean, we can say, well, Adam, what happened if they had an interception? You know, he threw it from the 20-yard line. Yeah, 20-yard line. You don't know if you're going to score. It's a little bit less of a impact. It sucks because it is an impact. You lose a possession. You don't know if you're going to score, but you were in scoring range here. There was the one thing you can't do is do what he did. I know he's trying not to take a sack, but you dirt that ball, you throw that ball a little lower, you throw it at the feet, or you just throw it into the skybox and see what happens at that point. Yeah, sure, maybe you get an intentional grounding, but instead you get an interception, you get no points. At least with like an intentional grounding or whatever could have happened, maybe they do a long kick, maybe you punt them down there. Who knows? You gave the ball down there inside that area, and I just think that's something that comes back when you look at the nitpicking stuff. That comes back to bite him. The other plays I thought was the defense in the second half or in the overtime. I thought the Commanders defense played a hell of a game up until the final 10 minutes where they just let the Broncos go right down the field. Thankfully, their offense came back, and, hey, they went for it on two-point conversion, Washington, and he had the play would have worked. The play would have worked again had Mariota thrown it over the defender's head and not at the defender or kind of slid. Maybe we're talking about the Commanders with the upset victory. But these two plays kind of happened, and these two scenarios, and when you play that out, that's what ends up ultimately hurting them. I thought, like you said, they came out and they played a good game. And I'm going to tell you this right now, folks. As a Giant fan, I'm not walking into Washington in 2 weeks as an automatic win. Okay, that team, whether we like it or not, is going to play hard the rest of the way. I think they found their formula. I do believe they're going to get Jaden Daniels back eventually in the next couple weeks. I wouldn't be surprised if it's next week or if he's taking reps this week. I didn't get to see the practice schedule today, but know that when you come off the bye week, you got to be prepared because this team is going to go down fighting, and they're going to go down out with pride. They have too much pride on that defense with Bobby Wagner. Dan Quinn showed you that they even said it on the Hard Knocks, like we're going out on our terms. You know what I mean? And so for me, this was huge, and it showed me a lot against arguably a team that could be representing in the Super Bowl against Denver Broncos. Right? Let's be honest. They're 10 wins, 10-2 right now. Only one behind the league-leading Patriots. So there was a lot at stake with this game. So for me, I was impressed by how they came out and played.
Yeah, I mean, like you just said, to me, with a team that's had the kind of year that this team's had, which has been almost equally as bad as the New York Giants, this football team has come out, and they came out there, like I said, they just came out. They didn't lay down for the Denver Broncos. The Broncos have obviously a much better football team and much more success than the Commanders have had this season. But they came out with all their deficiencies, and they still went out there, and they went out swinging, man. Look, and they damn near pulled it off. It wasn't for a couple of little mistakes here and there, because overall, Marcus Mariota played a strong game, man. 28 of 50, a lot of dropbacks there, but at the same time, that's what the way the game got dictated, the flow of the game dictated that. And 28 of 50, 294 yards, 2 touchdowns on the night. I mean, he had his receivers. I mean, getting the addition of Terry McLaurin back in the lineup clearly had an impact. 7 catches for Terry McLaurin for 96 yards and and one of the touchdowns. Zach opened up things for Zach Ertz, who had a big night. Should have played him in fantasy. Fuck that one up. Deebo Samuel, you know what I mean, had a solid night as well. Commander team really, truly came out swinging, and they and look, they still came up on the short end of the stick, but the effort was there, the fight was there, and like you just said, Adam, they're not laying down. They haven't. It's been a rough year for them, considering this season they had the success they had a season ago. But this team ain't laying down for nobody, and you're right. They're going to go out swinging, no matter. Obviously, it's a lost season. They're not going to be seeing any postseason play this year. But at the end of the day, they're going to still go out swinging, and they're going to still command respect. No pun intended. You know what I mean?
Mac, you bring up something that we keep harping on, and that's not lying down. And that's what gives me pause about if I'm a fan of a certain team and looking down the road and what the Commanders may think in their building. Like, hey, man, we may lose they lost. They put up a fight against Denver. I don't know who they have this week. They have Kansas City, I think, or something like that. They have somebody this week. But I think they're going to come out and you're going to see the same kind of fight and grit that you saw this week. I can't say that about
Minnesota.
Minnesota. You could say they win that game. If they come out and play like they did against Denver, they're winning that game.
Let me tell you what, if that same quarterback is playing again, they're probably going to win, because that quarterback was terrible for Minnesota on Sunday.
Goodness gracious. When whoever starts that game, I think you've given them enough effort to believe that they can do it. And a team that's in their weight class, like Minnesota and like the Giants, they're not an easy out anymore. They look like they come back with a re-sense of life. I in the locker room, you saw what he said after the game on Hard Knocks. That they played their effort. It's not the result they wanted, but it was the effort they needed. Right? It wasn't the result they wanted, but it was the effort they needed. And I think that message is being hit home, and I think they have a good coach to lead them through the fire, and get them through that and get them through the other side. And hey, look, I can tell you right now, they're not playing for a draft pick. They're not looking for a draft pick. I know that people talk about this stupid thing, and I hate it. they're playing to finish off the season strong, not necessarily finish off the season for next year, because I don't believe in that bullshit. They're just wanting to finish off strong and put your best foot forward and just try to salvage whatever season and go out with the best record possible, because right now, and they're not going to evaluate guys. They don't need to evaluate guys. They know what they need. They have their weaknesses out. This is a chance to finish the season strong and try to get back into that belief that next year, when they do have now an off season, and they obviously don't have that many draft picks, but they do have a first round draft pick, where they're going to invest their money now, probably on the defensive side of the football, right? Bringing in a little bit more of a pass rush. They're going to probably bring in a few younger linebackers, probably get another weapon, bring in the offensive line. They have that chance to do that. They have a coach and a front office that is willing and able and working very well together, where I can see them with their new schedule, right? Because their schedule is going to be like a third place schedule next year, probably, because I think that they're going to end up third over the Giants, believe it or not, third or fourth place schedule. They're going to be able to win some games. So there's that.
Yeah, I do. I'm with you right there, and I think they're pretty much their off season is going to consist of. I believe when they get to the off season free agency, I think there's going to be maybe a focus on maybe a couple of more, maybe additional pieces on the offense. Still continue to work on that offensive line and build it up a little bit more. And I think that when you get to April in the draft, they're going to be really defensive heavy when it comes to the draft, and really, really trying to revamp that defense and get some pieces on that side of the football to build this team around. Because I think. We didn't really get to see the dynamic play of Jaden Daniels as much this year, obviously, with all the injuries he's been dealing with. But I believe that this is still a pretty good football team when it's all said and done. And they need a few more additions to really help bolster it up. And I think I think this team is still trending in the right direction, even though they had a really rough year this season. I mean, it's just a lot of circumstances. You didn't have your wide receiver, number one wide receiver, for basically the whole damn season. The quarterback's been in and out the lineup all season. It's just been a lot. No real running attack to speak of. And the offensive line is just up and down. So and the defense is, let's face it, pretty damn bad unit. So I mean, I think they know that that's the problem that needs to be addressed, and I think we're going to see that kind of approach when we get to the offseason with this football team.
Yeah, and I agree with you on that. I think we have to be critical of, yes, they put in Mariota. He should have won some games. He hasn't played terribly. I mean, if you look at it, I'm pretty impressed with a coaching candidate on their sideline, and Cliff Kingsbury, and what he's been able to do with the limited guys in and out of the lineup, right? With different players coming in and different quarterbacks coming in. I really am impressed with what he is. And if I'm the Giants, I'm definitely looking at him at these last 4 games and how he conducts the offense as a guy that I potentially could bring in as a head coaching candidate. I thought this was probably one of the better games he called. And, his offense, you could see that he adapted to many different things. And that shows me that he has depth in what he can do. He understands how to maneuver his offense and still be able to put up 27 points that they put up again, or 26 points that they put up in that game. So against a good defense, right? We're talking about a team that was in shambles and wasn't leading like the Giants did or anything like that. They were in shambles, and they were able to make plays and bottle up Bo Nix and have a real solid plan. And I do believe with the coach that they have, they'll be able to weather the storm next year. Like I said, if you think about this is like the teams like in the mid-'90s for the Giants when you had Jim Fossil and that. You knew the season was lost, but you knew Fossil was coming back, and he was the coach. It wasn't like he was a terrible coach. Just circumstance is what circumstance was, right? Quarterback goes out. Defense doesn't play as well as it did last year. And I let them, not trying to make excuses. They didn't make excuses for themselves, and they would tell you that they should have played better as well, which I do agree. But when you put it on the table, I think they have the best chance of bouncing back over everybody else because, one, they have the quarterback, they have the coach in place, and I think they'll be able to retool, like you said, and kind of revamp that defense, which is really the pass rush. Bringing in Von Miller at 30, 40, almost 40 years old, I think you're going to want to, dig a little deeper into that talent pool, make a move somewhere, spend a few free agent bucks, whether that's Bryce Huff, who might be a free agent, or maybe bringing in Hassan Reddick or something like that to kind of see if he can resurrect his career. You're going to need to maybe draft somebody. Hell, maybe knock on the door of the Giants or one of these NFC East teams to see if they're going to trade anybody. Maybe bring in Jadeveon Clowney at the end of the year if he decides that he's out of the Cowboys price range. Like, they're going to really need to do something, because I do believe, they'll be able, once they get, Latimer back, Trey Amos going to be a little bit healthy and a little wiser. I think they really need safety help. I think their secondary would be a lot better if they could get 2 good safeties, because they weren't. You remember, Dan Quinn was perfect on the Legion of Boom in Seattle. I think that's what they weren't trying to build up, is get those good DBs, have solid linebackers, and then get their pass rush going. It's not working out, but I think that's where I would search and shop for them. I know I'm rambling on. Sorry. I'll land that plane now.
No, I mean, I agree with everything you're saying. Like I said, I just think this team just dealt with a lot of adversity that just made them left for a rough season. I mean, also they didn't sneak up on anybody this year as well. It was different last year, kind of sneaking up on people. People didn't coming into this year a season ago. People thought you were going to be a bad football team. You ended up being pretty damn good. This year, you came in expecting to be pretty good. People expected you to be pretty good, and you kind of people took you a little more seriously. I don't want that's like you said, not an excuse for the results that you have here, but at the end of the day, this team dealt with a lot that has dealt with some adversity, and the fact that you saw the effort that you saw Sunday night from this football team that was looking dead in the water, that a couple of weeks ago I thought the New York Giants would actually have a real chance to leapfrog and put them in the cellar in this division. I'm not really feeling so confident about that right now after the effort I saw Sunday night. And if they can get Jaden Daniels back in the lineup to finish the season out, that's only even better for them as well, man. Like you said, it's just they're focused on finishing the season strong. They're definitely, like you said, they're not tanking for draft picks or anything in the sort like that. This is not the way this team is built or the way this team is run. So it was good to see them come out and play some good football for the first time in probably well over a month that we've seen them play good football. And it was good. It was good to see for if you're a Washington Commander fan. I think it kind of gives you a little bit of hope the rest of the season, just to let them finish, maybe possibly finish out strong. They got a very winnable game this week, and couple other winnable games left on the schedule. Let's face it. I mean, the rest of their schedule is not exactly not a murder's row of opponents. So, this team, they could finish the season strong, and we'll see, man, and we'll see what they do going into the off season and how they build this thing back up. But you have any final thoughts on the Commanders, Adam, or are we ready to move on?
Well, I'm good to move on. I think we've touched on everything that for that game at least.
Absolutely, and it was a tremendous game Sunday night. I definitely enjoyed every minute of it. Sitting there at work watching it on my phone, it was definitely an enjoyable one. But yeah, let's talk about Black Friday, man. Let's talk about the defending world champs, man, and the same problem that seems to be persistent with this football team, Adam. And I'll let you talk about it, but this offense is something is not connecting with this offense, man. What's your thoughts on Black Friday and the Eagles and the Bears, man?
Well, it's interesting. As I talked to an Eagle fan, the Wednesday of last week, I think the day of the show, we did the show a little earlier in the day, and then I went and picked my son up, and we played football. Oh, no, excuse me. We played football Thanksgiving morning. So not the day of the show. The day after the show, we were out playing flag football with my son, which was great, by the way. His first time playing with just a couple rec kids. Anyways, a Eagle fan was walking, saw us outside, kind of came outside to take his kids and run in the woods and things like that. I know him from the school, et cetera, et cetera. We get into, football talk, and, he's sitting there and he's like, I think, we have a chance. I said, if you don't win against the Bears, I would be concerned about the Eagles. I said, against the Cowboys, it's one thing. I think the Cowboys were circling that game. NFC East, I get it. You lose to the Bears, then you have real problems. And I'll give a shout out to Mac, who, picked the Bears to be the NFC North champions early on in the season, has rode that ship all the way here. There's still a little bit ways to go to see if that prediction will hold water, but he did also mention they would go to the playoffs, and I think it's trending in that direction after this huge win. And there's probably a crippling loss for at least the Eagles. I don't think that they're going to be the number one seed anymore. I think they have a lot of issues going on internally that they need to fix. They have 4 losses. Hell, I could see them losing some games and losing the division if you think that's out of the realm of possibility. It's not, with the way the Cowboys are playing and how favorable the Cowboys schedule is. And we'll get to their magnificent game in a little bit. and how they really kind of saved their season. But I think the Eagles need to put the 5 alarm fires on. Right, they play the Chargers this week. I think this is a huge
Yes,
game,
sir.
and I just think when you play the Bears, who I didn't think was fraudulent, but I didn't give them the credit that they deserved. Right, because I thought that they, going into the game, I wasn't saying I was impressed that they couldn't beat the Giants. I thought it was an anomaly what was happening in that game. I think a lot of people kind of fell into that giant where the Giants kind of wear the clock out on you and things like that. I think they showed up. The better team eventually won, right? The Bears were the better team. They found a way to win. Giants were not the better team. They found a way to lose. In this game, the Eagles found ways to lose the game. The tush-push fumble that happened with Kayvon Thibodeau, guess what? The NFL saw it this time. They let it play out. And a critical fumble and a critical moment of the game, where I think was actually the turning point of the game, I do believe, because the Eagles were driving. They had a chance to, I don't know if go up in the game, at least tie the game, at least get some momentum back on their side. They lost that tush push, and I think that's where the wheels kind of fell off the bus for the Eagles at that point. They couldn't figure it out. And give credit where credit is due. That run game for the Bears was epic. They were epic. That defense came in there, and they were stopping everybody. That defense was very good. They came in there and they made that Eagle defense, which is ranked pretty high, at least top 10 in many categories, especially the run game. They made them look like a varsity, a JV team out there. Excuse me, because they were just running up and down. Like Caleb Williams didn't have a great game. He did have a phenomenal throw to the tight end to kind of seal the game for the Bears. And you know what? That sometimes we got to look at things. Maybe Caleb Williams' stats weren't great, but he did enough to put his team in a position to win the game. And he made a critical throw in a critical moment in a game, in a spot that decided the game. And that's what you look for in a franchise quarterback. In the moment when I need a money play, can you make the money moment? And he did. And so you got to give kudos to him. Well, he didn't, like I said, didn't play the greatest game. He didn't need to, obviously, because the run game was doing what it needed to do. But the Eagles' offense, they are in trouble. They are in big trouble.
Yeah, you just brought up a great point to bring me right into where I was wanting to go with this. Like you said, Caleb Williams, he probably had his worst game in over a month, to be honest. Statistically, it was just not really anything, ain't nothing to write home about. But he made the plays he needed to when he had to. And the big difference in this game is a couple differences in this game that was disappointing with the Eagles is we'll go back. I'm going to keep harping on this offense because, like I say, when I look at the Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, AJ Brown, who actually did have a tremendous game. AJ Brown did have a tremendous game, and when you look at AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, to me, it's just there's something not clicking properly, man. Why can't like I said, AJ Brown had a tremendous game, 10 catches, 132 yards, 2 touchdowns. Can't argue with that, but where's anybody else's good game? I mean, it's just like you can't just keep having it like this with a team this talented, where it's like, okay, 1 week was one person shows up, and next week another person shows up. Saquon Barkley has barely showed up this whole season. I cannot figure out for the life of God what is going on with this Eagles offensive mindset and the fact the lack of usage of Saquon Barkley. Another game that once again did not get far enough away from you that you just pretty much stopped running the football the way they did. I just don't get it. I can't understand it. I don't know what the thought process behind it is. And then you look at this also, like I said, when I list all that talent this football team has, all that talent, and then you're only putting up 15 points against the Chicago Bear defense, which is decent. It's not terrible. It's not New York Giant bad, but it ain't lights out either. It's not a lights out unit either. And they do force turnovers. They obviously do that better than anybody in the league. But that's what they bring to the table defensively. Really, they do turn the ball over, but at the end of the day, they don't. I mean, well, you know what I mean. They get turnovers, but they don't. They're not anything special otherwise. That's about the one thing that stands out about that unit is the fact of the way they create turnovers. And the fact that you're only able to put up 15 points on with that kind of a lineup against this defense at home. I mean, I haven't heard the boobers ringing like that so loudly at Lincoln Financial in a while. them Boo Birds was out on Friday night. They was out. I mean, they were just booing that team out of the stadium, man. And then defensively, this is once again a great defensive unit. This is a great defensive unit for the Philadelphia Eagles, and to allow not one but two rushers to go over 100 yards against you, DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monaghan. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but that guy. I mean, 130 yards for Monaghan, 125 for Swift. I mean, they just pounded the ball on you guys, just ran it right down your throat, and they weren't even sugarcoating it. They weren't. You talk about Caleb Williams not having a great game. He didn't necessarily have to. The way they were running the football, I mean, they had their way with this Philadelphia Eagle defense, and to be quite, and I'm wondering what we're looking at with this Philadelphia Eagle football team. I just don't know. It does not look like we're looking at the defending champs when I watch this team play. I can't see it. They fell down to third in the NFC now. I think they went into the week number 1 in the NFC. I think might have still been number 1. Maybe they were number 2, but either way, they're now number 3, hanging on by a thread. And it really, at this point, I'm feeling like the only thing that's going to put them in the playoffs is the fact that this division is so weak, and the Cowboys have now got. I mean, they're finally finding their footing. It looks like a little bit, but maybe it might be too little, too late. We'll see. Time will still tell. They got time to get back in it, but I'm not sure. This Eagles team, they got some soul searching to do, man, because they're this is not it. This is not what I would expect to see from a team with this kind of roster. Like I said, on paper, to me, it's the best roster in football. On paper, both sides of the football, rock solid, and this ain't it, man. 15 points at home and a crucial game. This is a critical game. I'll be quite frank. You know what I mean? This was a big game between two big-time contenders in the NFC right now. And the Eagles, to me, went out there and laid an egg on Black Friday, man, with the whole world watching. And it's not the look, man. They need to figure some things out.
I agree with you there. The one thing I will say is that don't discount those division games that they're going to play against the Commanders. Anything can happen, and anything's possible. And like we said about the Commanders playing a little bit more inspired, if the Eagles come out and they're dysfunctional and they're disjointed because, you know, there's a little bit of drama happening behind the scenes, that is subject for an upset, right? So Washington maybe they start to feel themselves and start to play well and put it together and say, finally, we want to get off the schneid of getting off the schneid, right? We believe in our coach. We love him. You know, unfortunate circumstance. What if they decide to come to play, and the Eagles, who have had trouble against the Bears, right, now have trouble against Jaden Daniels and that team going out there. So the concern that I have is huge, and it is mounting. And I think the Cowboys, we'll get into them in a minute, will have a pathway to a wild card, or at least the division. This concerns me big time because, again, you're going to try to be a playoff team, and the teams that are in the playoff hunt right now are all dangerous. Seattle, the 49ers, you know, not the Lions, Green Bay, right? Chicago, all the teams we're mentioning, Seattle, right? Rams, they're all able to put up points and all have good defenses. And if you are giving up 200 yards to the Bears, who are a solid offense, like you said, it doesn't bode well for them going forward, because these teams that are coming up have run games, right? They have strong, there is ability there, and they do play the Buffalo Bills. All right, they do play the Los Angeles Chargers. They do sneak in Washington, I do believe, twice there as well, which they could also lose one of those games. So it's not going to be I'm not going to just go out there and say, like you said, the division is theirs to be had. The way they're playing and how hot the other team that we're about to talk about is coming in, I wouldn't be surprised if they somehow collapse. And at that point, we're talking about, who's going to lose their jobs and things like that, right? Because if they don't fix this offense, and I don't think they have that much time to do it, you have a little extra time because you play on Friday. If they don't come out this next game and just put up points, and they're struggling, this could be a collapse of epic proportion.
I mean, it happened a couple of years ago to the football team. They still stumbled into the postseason, but we saw how that ended a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
and it could be something. and it could be a similar path. You know what I mean, like that, like you said. But here's the thing with this division. I think based off of when I look around the NFC North and the NFC West division, I believe, and I still stand. I don't think the NFC East, the NFC South are only getting the division winners in. I don't see the wild card team out of either one of those two divisions. I think the West and the Central and the North, excuse me, are just too damn good. These divisions are too good with the talent, with the teams in those divisions. The Lions might have played themselves out of it this past week too, possibly, but they're still in there and they're still hanging around, and they're still also a team
You got the Panthers
that you got
too.
like the Panthers. But like I said, the similar to the Panthers and the Bucks, and the same with the Cowboys and the Eagles. I think it's going to come down to whoever is able to win that division. And I just don't see a wild card team coming out of either one of those divisions. Like I said, with the North and the West so stacked, I just think you're getting three teams out of one of those divisions probably. I would think you're getting at least three out of one of those divisions. And
right,
I
agree with you. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think it's going to be one NFC East, one NFC South, and then the rest of the field is going to be NFC West and NFC North. Right?
Absolutely.
Probably two from the North, three from the West. That's five, and then your two division winners in the South and in the East. Right? So I agree with you 100%. I don't think, but what I do believe is that you got a team in Texas that saw this and is seeing a runway to the division. And I think that's what we got to start to talk about, because I just think the last thing on the Eagles is that 2023 season, which this is feeling like. They got out to that 10-1 start, and then they went, what? They were 11-6 or something like that, and they went 1-5 down the stretch. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, they don't have 10 wins yet, and they have a couple games here against some opponents that are still going to be playing either for something or going to try to still give them their best shot, right? And they need to be wary. I would not say to them that this is going to be a cakewalk division. That's all I want to say about that, especially with the team we're about to talk about now.
Well, no, like I said, the Cowboys are definitely putting the heat on them, but I'm just wondering if the Cowboys might have put themselves in a little too much of a hole. Because you look at the Eagles' schedule, the rest of their remaining schedule. I mean, let's face it, three of these games should be slam dunk wins. They should be. You can't always count the division games like that, but you never know. But Las Vegas, they got three of their remaining games are against the Raiders and two against Washington. I mean, they got the Chargers on Monday night coming up this week, and they're going to have Buffalo the second week 17.
Think about this. All right, let me play the scenario out for you. Okay, let's give them 2 wins right now. Right, we'll give them the Raiders and we'll give them Washington. We'll give them 1. Right. Let's say they lose to Buffalo, they lose to the Chargers this week, and then that game against the Commanders really will be the game that either puts them over the top and they win the division, or they end up out if it happens, right? Because I know a lot has to happen, but that could be a scenario where the game for the NFC East is basically comes down to the last game with these 4 teams playing each other for the final spot. Because I could easily see the Commanders winning one of these games. And wouldn't it be nice? The Commanders go out on a limb and say, you know what, we're going to knock you out of the playoffs today, because if the Cowboys win, they're in, and if you lose, you're out, right? Because you'll end up, the Cowboys will be 10-5-1 or 10-6-1, and you'll be 10-7, right? And so that tie pushes them ahead. Let's say the Cowboys win, right? Interesting scenario that is playing out in front of our eyes right now, and I wouldn't be surprised if it happens where, yeah, sure, they beat the Raiders, maybe they beat the Washington the first time, but that game comes down to it, and I wouldn't be surprised if Washington says, you know what, let's play the role of spoiler and end their season. And so that's what I mean. I'm not guaranteeing them. I'll give them 2 wins, but with these next couple teams, I'm even throwing in that Washington game at either the end of the year that they're going to steal one, because to me, in my head, either game, especially coming down the stretch, we can knock the Birds out of the playoffs right now. I'm going to do it. And remember, Washington got beat down by that team, right? They got beat down by that team. And if this team, the Eagles, are vulnerable in any way, and I'm the Commanders, I'm going to go I'm going to go get my revenge. So,
Well, we'll see. I mean, you're right. I mean, like I said, division games, all bets are off in division matchups. All usually most of the time anyway. Like you said, they can go either way. But I'm just looking at the schedule, just as far as like if I'm just putting, the odds are that they're most likely have what I would call three very winnable games left on their schedule and two much tougher games. But out of their five remaining, three should be winners. There should be no excuse for them to lose these football games. But at the end of the day, it's football, man. On Sunday, anything can happen, man. And it could. And this way this football team is playing, if they don't get their offense back in check, then the Cowboys might come up and sneak up on their ass for real, man. But I just think maybe the Cowboys might have put themselves in too much of a hole, and it might be a little too much to climb out of when you look at the remaining schedule for both teams. It could be, we'll see. But the Cowboys definitely right now are playing much better football. Absolutely kicked their ass on last week. And they're on a roll right now, and they feeling themselves. And we're getting ready to might as well segue right into the Cowboys, man. What they did on Thanksgiving, and what was a tremendous effort against the Kansas City Chiefs, man. Which they might have put but they might have put that final nail in the coffin of the Kansas City Chiefs season as well. The Cowboys did on Thursday night, man. If you want to talk about it, Adam. What's going on, Dion? Thanks for stopping in, bro. And Joe, appreciate y'all.
I agree with Dion. It could happen. They could be there. But I thought the Cowboys played a phenomenal game. I tuned in a little bit after that game, a little late. Because I don't know what I was doing. I think I was flipping. I think the Eagle game was running over. Something was happening where I didn't see the interception, so I tuned in and Kansas City has the ball. I'm like, oh, okay. And then I hear, well, Dak threw this interception. You thought it was going to be same old Cowboys. It wasn't. They gave up the touchdown, and then they went down the field, and George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb, they just had their way with that Kansas City Chiefs team and that Cowboy defense. It made plays. It looked good. I'm not saying they're the vaunted monsters of Midway, but you're getting back Trayvon Diggs. You have Deron Bland. You have Ravel now playing. Your safeties are solid in Hooker and Wilson. Your linebackers in Wilson and Murray and I think I'm missing somebody else there. Oh, Overshown are pretty solid core of linebackers. Then you have your front four with now Quinnen Williams. Kenny Clark is playing out of his mind next to Keenan Williams. And then you have, the 41 Azarique playing well. And then that Houston kid, Odighizuwa, made his presence known in the game. They were making life miserable for Patrick Mahomes. And you need what the Kansas City Chiefs needed for that game not to be a blowout was Mahomes' magic at the end of the game to, get them over the top. Remember, the Cowboys had that double-digit lead going into the fourth quarter. And then, you had Mahomes do what Mahomes does in the late stages of a game and throws a deep pass to Hollywood Brown in the back of the end zone, which puts them down by 3. But it never really was a contest for me. I thought the Cowboys came out and did what they had to do. They brought out a big lead, and then the lack of firepower and just the overall defense of Kansas City didn't quite make the plays when he needed to. Like Dak Prescott played out of his mind. That throw to Javonte Williams, where you think he's running, and then he's not running. He pushes off his lineman, and he throws a little pass to Javonte Williams. It's like they just wanted it more. And you're right. I think that put the nail in the coffin for them. I think Kansas City, they're not going to the playoffs, folks. It happens. When you win that much, things happen. You get tired. People start to figure you out. You can't sustain that all the time. And I think they're going to, they're the Kansas City Chiefs. They're a formidable opponent. They're going to play the string out. They're an Andy Reid coach team. But you might have just seen the last of the dynasty, and I think the Cowboys did exactly what they needed to do to keep their playoff home play. You got to think about this, right? If the Cowboys have won maybe the Cardinal game, we're really talking about them being in the division race, right? And they've won, 3 in a row, and they're playing Detroit this week. And when I saw the Detroit this weekend, it's not out of the realm of possibilities for them to win this game. And then they play the Giants, right? I think they play the Commanders once, and I think they play somebody else that's pretty easy as well. I think they have the Raiders in there. Oh, no, they beat the Raiders. I think they have another pretty easy team on their schedule, right? So for me, the hardest game coming up is this next game on Thursday. If they get through this game with a win, I don't see them losing the rest of the way. This is the one flub that they can have and still kind of be in it. But to me, if they beat Detroit Lions, you might have to start to buy into what they're selling, because they're going to be favored in every game after this one on Thursday the rest of the way. And they will have a legit shot with what we just played out with the Eagles, who, while they will win, I do believe they're going to win the 2 games against the lesser opponent. I think it's only going to be 2, especially if it comes down to the Giants and the Cowboys, and then the Eagles and Washington, right? That game is probably going to be played at the same time on different networks, so you can, so they can, not be scoreboard watching, because the NFL loves to captivate audiences. So it's not a possibility. Who do the Cowboys play? They play Detroit. Who else?
Cowboys remaining schedule is Detroit, Minnesota, the Chargers, Washington, and the Giants. That is a very favorable schedule, especially the way Detroit's playing the last few weeks, because even though Detroit beat the Giants, they didn't look good beating the Giants necessarily. And then they obviously saw what happened to them on Thanksgiving. Green Bay took it to them on Thursday. And so to me, that's very winnable for the way 2 teams playing completely different levels right now. The Cowboys are playing much better football than Detroit right now, I feel like, over the course of the last couple of weeks. So that's very winnable right there. Minnesota obviously is a very winnable football game. The Chargers, you never know what version of the Chargers you're going to get. And then Washington, Washington and New York. I mean, let's face it, those are games that the Cowboys should win. So,
so the only game outside of this, and spoiler alert, I think they're going to beat the Lions, right? So the only game I'm worried about for the Cowboys is the Chargers. But if they can and I think they're playing the Chargers in Dallas, if I'm not mistaken, right? I think they're going to Detroit this week, but they're going. I think if I'm not mistaken, the Chargers coming there. You can correct me if I'm wrong. You have the schedule up. Are the Chargers going into Big D?
The Chargers is at Dallas, yeah.
Yeah, so, and the Dallas Cowboys in the last hour, they threw a stat up on Thursday. They're like 21-2 at home. So they play very well.
No, that's only against the NFC East teams.
No,
that's against NFC East teams. That's against NFC East teams. That's what it said.
Oh, was it NFC East teams? I don't know.
Yeah.
Either way,
against the division.
I know they have a great home record regardless, right? Someone mentioned that they had some great home record regardless. So Chargers on the road in Dallas, I can see them winning the game. The problem I have with the Cowboys is if they beat the Lions this week, I think we're gonna have to really see what happens with that Charger game, because I think they're gonna be favored, like you said, in the other 3 games, no doubt about it. Minnesota falling apart. And I think, you have Washington and the Giants, who I think you can, at this point, I don't think, we'll get into the Giants in a minute, but I don't think they're not going to be favored in that game either. So it's going to be fun. If you're a Cowboy fan, buckle up, because if you win this game tomorrow,
I mean, think about it. When they get to that last game against the Giants, that could literally be for the Cowboys season. So it ain't going to be no coming out there and laying down. That could be for their season right there. That could be for all the marbles for the Cowboys. They're going to come out there and want to kick the Giants' ass that last game of the season. Ain't going to be none of that bullshit like last year with the Eagles coming out and and they still, even though they still won, but they were like kind of, half-ass going through the motions, obviously, in that football game.
Right.
But
there will be no sitting of Dak Prescott in this game or any of that stuff when it comes down to it. But first things first, they got to get through Detroit, and I think they will.
Yeah, it starts with that. Like you said, and Dion brought up a good comment here about Herbert with his broken left hand. Haven't heard any final verdict on him, whether he's playing or not Monday night, but that definitely have a difference on that game. And if it'll have any impact, any lasting effects, where if he'll miss any sustained time. As right now, I don't think he's been ruled out even for this week, though. So I don't know. Cowboys game ain't for a couple of weeks. By the way, Dion's a friend of mine. He's a Cowboys fan. Cowboys game ain't for a few weeks. And so he most likely, I would think he'll be back for that game regardless. But at the same time, a broken hand, I mean, even though it's his non-throwing hand, that still can have some effect on you, So we'll see how that comes into play too.
I think right now for that game for the Chargers, right? I know they're playing. I think they're playing the Eagles. I just think they have a better running game, and if the Eagles can't stop the run, I just think they're going to be in trouble. I think these are the 2 games on the Eagles schedule, I believe, Chargers and Buffalo, because Buffalo still They're going to still want to be in the AFC. They're still going to want to try to finish because you never know what happens with Denver in these next couple games, right? That maybe they lose one to whomever. It's football. Shit happens, right? So they got to keep themselves in the race. And I just feel like the Chargers, if Herbert plays, I just think they're also in a race, right, for seeding to be a good wild card team because you want to go in there with some momentum and, some believability that you can win, even though it's maybe not in your building. And who knows, if you do have a good record and one of the teams that below you does not have a good record and you're at the Chargers and you happen to get to the AFC Championship game, well, now because your record was what it was, you're hosting that game. So it does mean something in the long run if they end up being there. Now, if they play, let's say, the New England Patriots, it's not going to matter. But let's say New England chokes and, they fail and all of a sudden the Chargers are playing – Buffalo, and they have the tiebreaker over Buffalo. They're going to LA now as opposed to going to the cold in Buffalo. So it will matter.
Yeah, I agree. And this is a crazy season this year in the sense in both conferences. Like this is December now. We're here in December. Usually there's at least one or two teams that are just standing out above the rest of the pack where someone steamrolling their division, whatever. But it's not the case this year. There's a lot of moving parts right now in both conferences. Nothing is really cemented. Every week the cards just seem to shuffle, you know what I mean? Every week. And it's been kind of fun, other than the fact that we're Giant fans and we have no fun watching football at this point right now. Other than that fact, it's just overall, this has been a kind of good season to be a football fan. It's a lot of good compelling storylines this whole entire year, man. Like I said, look at what's going on in the NFC North division, the changing of the guard, so to speak, possibly in that division, and the NFC West, how rock solid that's been. Look at Denver out in the AFC West, the AFC North now where Baltimore has come back to life. And even though they lost on Thursday night to Cincinnati, but they've come back to life a little bit, gotten back into that division race.
Cincinnati has a pulse.
Cincinnati once again has life. Yeah, I mean, this has just been a crazy, crazy year, man. I mean, look what the Patriots are doing over there in the AFC East right now. I mean, a lot of people thought the Patriots were going to be pretty decent, but I ain't going to lie. I didn't think they were going to be quite this good. You know what I mean? They have really turned it back around up there, finding their quarterback in Drake May. So it's a lot of good football all season, man, in both conferences. It's been, like I said, by now, usually somebody's kind of standing out where you just know, okay, well, this team definitely going to be number one or do this and that. And that's just not the case right now, man. It's like wide open right now in both conferences. It's pretty fun to watch as a football fan. But any final thoughts on this Cowboys game before we get to the shit show, bro?
No, I think it's time to move on to the toilet bowl.
Let's get to it, man. Monday night, yes, under the primetime lights of Monday Night Football, the New York Giants went out there and embarrassed themselves yet again on national TV in front of the whole damn world with the whole world watching. New York Giants look like fools, look like idiots. And it was their worst performance of the season. And it's weird to say that for a 2-11 football team. But honestly, in their other 10 losses, they at least looked pretty damn competitive. And this one on Monday night, they did not. They did not look competitive at all. The Patriots came out and punched them right in the mouth from the door, took the Giants' heart, and pumped the fuck out of everybody on that football team. Adam, I'm going to let you talk about it while I calm down for a minute, bro.
Listen. First off, I want to preface people, I had a frustrating time with this game. One, because unfortunately I live in Eagle country, or I get Eagle feed, right? I somehow get the Philadelphia feed. I'm close enough. I still live in the state of where these teams play. I'm not going to give you all my location because I want any fan mail, but know that I should be able to see the game. I was not. So I went to stream it. Couldn't get the stream up, got a virus on the computer because somebody sent me the bad stream, whatever. Finally got the game on my phone, only to come in after the punt return. So I'm already listening to the game. Giants are doing their thing. They go 3 and out, boom, down the field. Well, they go. Let the Patriots go down the field, get the field goal, 3-0. You're like, okay. And then the Giants do what the Giants do, 3 and out, punt. Now they kick this ball, and you're like, wow, what a punt. All of a sudden, touchdown, 10-0. 10-0. I'm like, dang.
Blink of an eye.
Huh?
That's a blink of an eye.
Right, 9-10-0, and we haven't even gotten out of the first quarter yet. We haven't gotten out of the first quarter yet. It's already 10-0. Okay? So then I'm continuing to watch this game, and the Giants get some life. They're starting to move the football, and then Jackson Dart gets fucking lit up by Ellis. And let me tell you, they said something on the broadcast that Mike Vrabel came in and he said they preached violence this week. They wanted to be violent. Guess what? They got the message. They got the message. The Patriots understood the assignment. They understood. They broke the Giants' will in this game from the very first snap. They did not let up. They were relentless, and they just kept coming and coming and coming. And then here you go, right? Jackson Dart, boom. They get the ball. You think they have a chance. The Patriots go back down the field and score, right? So now the Giants have the ball, right, inside the first half, and you're like, no, nothing. We might be able to do something. We're moving the ball here. We're getting to the field goal range. We just scored a touchdown with a 30-yard Slayton touchdown, which I don't know what happened. I think it looked like everybody froze on the Patriots when they caught the ball. Like, oh, are we supposed to tackle that guy? And he ended up in the end zone. And then I've seen something that I never thought I'd see in the history of football. I'm watching this kick. Mind you, I'm on a small little screen. A small little screen. And I'm watching this, and I'm looking at it, and I watch it, I'm like, what? And I'm starting to laugh. My wife's like, what has happened? Why did he hit the dirt? Now, normally you think it's a tipping wedge. He just takes the dirt and follows through. Nope. It's as if his foot got glued to the ground and it didn't move. And then Jamie Gillian's like, he's standing there looking at the ball like, what is happening right now? He gets up. He tries to do something. He probably should have just thrown out the play. And, of course, we have the Three Stooges out there, a calamity of errors going on and a sack. And now the New England got the ball in good great field position to now add another touchdown before the half. Because we have a kicker that decides to stop kicking midway through the kick because he saw a slight movement. You know what you do? Just keep going. Just blast that thing. It moved so little. Like I saw it move, but it tilted a little bit like that. He still did enough to hold the ball and, get it in the end zone. And I'm sitting there and they're talking about the special teams coach. And I'm listening to them. I'm like, I don't even know who the fuck this special teams coach is. That's how bad the Giants special teams is. I didn't even know the guy's name. And I'm like, they're featuring this guy. They're like, oh, blah, 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 special teams coach. And I'm like, damn, not only does he suck at evaluating kickers, but this situation has been you let up the fucking, 90-yard touchdown on the kickoff. And then you can't even do a kick when you're in a chance to steal some momentum back in the game, and your kicker does that. And now you fast forward to they give the ball back again with like a minute to go in the game, right? 4th and 1, I think it was that you said. They give the ball back a minute to go in the game. They punt it. And New England, what do? They score another field goal. Another damn field goal. And they're leading at halftime 30-7. 30-7. I'm looking at my wife and I'm laughing hysterically. She's like, "What's?" I'm like, 30-7. We have played 4 quarters of football in 2 quarters, literally. That's how hard they were hitting us. Oh, you know why we got the ball back? Because they absolutely destroyed Gunnar Olszewski. I've never seen a man get bent in that half. And guess who it was? It was Ellis again. Bam! He nailed that dude. And it looked like the Giants at that point did not want to play anymore. They came out flat. They got the shit pushed in early on, and they never recovered.
Yeah, let me see. Where do I even begin with this bullshit? With the fuckery that was Monday night? Where do I begin with it, man? Because it's just there's a lot of things about this football game that angered me a lot. It's not about, and the loss ain't one of them. Losing the football game, excuse me, I'm sorry for that. Losing the football game was not one of the reasons that I was angry, because I didn't expect to win any damn way. But what bothered me about this football game was there you go, you put it in there, how soft the damn New York Giants are, how soft they proved to be on Monday night, because clearly the Patriots came out here with a game plan to take the physicality to the New York Giants. All well and good, because you can say what you want about the Jackson Dart hit on the sideline. It was clean. It was legal. It was a legitimate play. Dart needs to get his ass out of bounds in that situation and not take a big hit like that. So that's on Jackson Dart. The play was legit. It was legal. Nothing wrong with that. It was just a very hard hit. A linebacker that, yeah, he put a little extra mustard on that thing, but hey, there's no crime in that. Nothing illegal about it. Theo Johnson, you get a little scuffle, okay, whatever. That's yourself. That's what you call yourself, defending your quarterback. Fine, whatever. Okay. Then Gunnar Olszewski, who arguably you can make a case has been one of the best New York Giants this season from a consistency standpoint, at least from what he's asked to do and what he's provided. So he's been one of your better players on the team this year. He gets absolutely annihilated on kick return. I mean, annihilated. I mean, decapitated. I'm thinking this man is still sleeping right now. That's how hard he got hit. Took his soul. And yet, nobody gets a receipt. Nobody goes out there and says, you know what? I'm not talking about dirty. I'm talking about within the ramifications of the rules, still go out there and match the physicality of the Patriots. Nobody stepped up and did that. No one did. You just took it, you just bent over, and you just took it. You took everything the Patriots was doing to you, and you just took it. You took it, you did nothing about it. You looked gutless, and you looked heartless out there. That's what bothered me the most about this football team on Monday night. It bothered me. It bothered me to watch that performance, to watch them have that kind of effort. If I watch my guy get blown up the way Gunnar got blown up on that kick return, I'm damn sure getting me a receipt anytime I get an opportunity. There was a point late in that football game when Drake Mays probably shouldn't even have been in the game still. I thought it was kind of arrogant that he was even still in the game still at that point, and he's still scrambling and for first downs and shit, and nobody's laying the wood on this guy. Why? Make it make sense. He shouldn't even be out there still. Make them understand that his ass shouldn't even still be on the field with the way y'all busting our ass right now, and he should be taking the rest of the night off. But y'all got him out here, we're going to lay his ass out. Nobody did nothing. Nobody responded in any kind of way.
The defense
nothing.
27 points, by the way, just to let you know.
Nobody responded. It was just weak. A weak effort all across the board. Mike Kafka, you coached like a wet female part. That's what you coached like on Monday night. It was absolutely ridiculous. Watching that 4th and 1, when that camera panned to Jackson Dart's face, oh my God, you can see the look of disgust in that young man's face because he knew we're down 20 fucking points, 27 to 7 at that point, and we're going to kick the ball back to these guys with a minute plus, and they got a couple of timeouts in their back pocket. What do you think they were going to do, Mike Kafka? They were driving the ball up and down the field on us all day, a whole fucking first half. You thought all of a sudden now they're just going to fold and not be able to put a few more points on the board before halftime? Like, what is your thought process in that? It's just ridiculous to me, man. This whole game was a comedy of errors. Every phase of this football game, the New York Giants were absolutely defeated in every phase. Offense, special teams, defense, it was all a joke. This chain of events, because somebody mentioned in the comments earlier, yeah, it didn't start with the Young Wei Koo kick. It started with Theo Johnson dropping what was a surefire touchdown in the end zone. I mean, you were in the end zone. The defender did play it well, but he didn't even touch the football. He never even located the football, truthfully. He was just in good position, but the ball only hit your hands, Theo Johnson. It went right through them, as a matter of fact. That started the whole downward spiral for the rest of this football game, because if you catch that touchdown pass and we kick the extra point, it's now 14-17. That's a whole different ball game. But we didn't get to that point. But then, okay, we got an opportunity. Theo drops that. We got an opportunity to make it 10-17, which still could make it a different ball game. But then we get the dumb kicker comes out here, and I've been watching football for 40 damn years. 40 years of my life, I've been watching this game. And I've seen a lot of kickers kick field goals. I've seen a lot of kickers kick extra points. And I ain't never seen no shit like what we saw Monday night. Yet another New York Giant meme circulating through the internet. That's what we got. This guy kicking the damn turf instead of kicking the damn football through the uprights. This is what the New York Giants season is. That's what it's become. And like I said, I'm not mad we lost. I'm mad at everything leading to the loss because it was just bad. It was terrible all across the board. Like I said, I'm pissed off because the way they came out, like I said, they came out so physical, and nobody answered that call. Nobody answered the bell. Like I said, I'm not asking you to play dirty. I would never tell you to go out there and take cheap shots at anybody. They weren't taking cheap shots. They were just taking shots. And they was connecting. You guys were just, it's okay. You just fucked their guy up. You just knocked their kick returner out. He's in concussion protocol now because you laid one on him. And we're just gonna let you keep running around, Ellis. Nobody gonna come down and, you know what I mean, and let you feel something. You know what I mean? Drake made you keep running around, buddy. We're not gonna put a left finger on you. This was a joke. This whole shit was a joke. I got to a point on Monday night where I wanted to just man, I wanted to just take my eyes out because I couldn't watch no more of the shit. I had to keep. I started just cutting this shit off. I couldn't watch it no more, man. It was bad. This whole team. This team was a joke, man. I mean, nobody showed up. Abdul Carter, you got your first sack. So the fuck what? You finally got a damn whole sack. Okay, good for you.
To be honest,
good for you. Good for you. You got your first. You got your first registered what they're calling the sack, whatever. You got that. Okay, so the fuck what? Finally, you finally got one. But the fact of the matter is, let's go back to let's talk about Abdul Carter suspended for the first quarter of this football game. Well, bench for the first quarter of this football game, whatever. Let's talk about that. Apparently, late blew off a special teams meeting or something. You're not going to convince me that this is the first time this shit just started happening. This has probably been an ongoing problem basically throughout the season, and nobody's been doing anything about it. You know what I mean? So the fact that this is what we mean about a new regime, new leadership needs to be on board because this shit probably been going on all damn year and ain't nobody been doing nothing about it. So this has just been a problem with this football team. This football team is how I don't know if you even want to talk about Joe Shane yesterday. If you want to, feel free. You don't have to by no means, but I don't. It's this team is just. It's an embarrassment. This is the most embarrassing shit I've seen as a New York Giant fan, man. This is embarrassing. How can you how can you be this bad? How can you? It shouldn't even be okay to be this bad at your job. It shouldn't be. Right. I don't know. I can't with this team anymore, Adam, man. I can't.
I'll get into Shane in a minute, but I want to get into Kafka. Way to set the tone, bro. Your job is on the line here. Right. And you have more drama with Mike Kafka in the last 3 weeks than I have had all day with Brian Dable. With Brian Dable, I just knew the defense sucked. I didn't have all this other background stories and everything going on. We heard a few things. You're sure you had the Wink Martindale stuff, but there wasn't every week something else happening. How do you get benched twice? I don't understand it. And then you don't have your team even fired up to play. This is a big game. You're like, hey, man, Jackson Dart's back. Let's show the world on Monday Night Football that we are, that team you saw in Detroit dancing around, having fun. You look flat. And then you look like you give up. And this is on him. Part of this is on him for, the way the team came out. I didn't like some of the calls he made. I think he coached not to lose and not winning formula. Why you made your defensive line coach the defensive coordinator. The defense still gave up 27 points. I know they gave up 33 in the score, but I'm taking one away from the special teams, and they still gave up 27 points. So the Giants still lost by 2 scores regardless. Okay? The defense didn't look that much better. They had a few plays where you're like, oh, okay. But Tyler Nubin actually did something like, oh, wow, this guy might use him correctly. But you're still giving up points. And they didn't set the tone. Carter comes in, gets a lazy sack. I don't even think they really touched Drake May that much. And I just feel like from the top down, you should have fired everybody last year when we said to fire everybody. Now, let me get to Joe Shea. Okay? A lot of people keep telling me this guy is good. And I'm telling you, yesterday he came out and I heard his press conference. He's a dead man walking. He's a dead man walking. And the reason why I'm going to say that is because one of the opening questions that they asked was, do you think you are going to be here next year? I don't know who asked it, but that's what somebody said. And instead of saying, yes, I am, he said, I'm going to focus on the next 4 weeks and help Mike Kafka. That tells me your ass got chewed out and you're probably going to be fired. And they're just going to play out the string and they're going to fire your ass come Black Monday. That doesn't sound like a guy who knew what he was confident in. He got flustered on some of the questions and he kept referring to, I'm going to do whatever I can with Mike Kafka these next 4 weeks. And he kept emphasizing that. And of course he talked, and then he said something about not everyone not batting 100%. Dude, I don't want to hear that shit. You're not batting 100%. Come out and take some real ownership, right? He did a little bit. He's like, oh, 5 wins is not that good, but you could tell that he's rattled. You could tell that ownership, while they're sorting through this, the chaos of John Mara's illness and what may be going on with that behind the scenes, they informed him that you're probably going to be relieved of your duties, right? Because when the first question out of your mouth is, last year he told you, oh, I'm going to be back, all this shit, which he shouldn't have been anyways, but he was. And here it is. He's part of this mess. He's part of this mess. And when he was talking about assembling the team, oh, we've got a good running back, we've got a good lineman, we've got a good this. You just listed a bunch of good things. You don't have a philosophy. You don't have an actual identity. You brought in a bunch of shiny toys, but you don't know how to use them because you don't have.
I understand the question.
Exactly.
I understand the question.
Like, what the fuck was that about? I understand it. Obviously, you understood the question, you dumbass. But obviously, but you're not answering the question. But you're telling me about the shiny toys you purchased. Like, oh, hey man, I bought this new this thing on QVC. Like, you bought a bunch of useless toys. They are cool, but they don't fit together. Okay, you don't have it. You drafted the quarterback because you lucked into. Don't tell me you drafted Jackson Dart. Clips are out there where you didn't even want Dart. So don't try to lie to my face that all of a sudden Dart's your guy. Oh, well, I knew about Dart long before. No, you didn't. No, you did not. Okay, you did not. You were there lab-assing with Shedeur Sanders and all that fucking company for months on end. For 2 years, you were over there. So don't try to tell me that you're like, oh, well, I found Dart before. No. In the draft room that day, what did you say? If he picks him, he's on you. Basically letting your freaking coach go out to dry if you pick Jackson Dart and it fails. It's not going to be my fault. I'll do whatever I can, but it's not my fault. And they're going to sit up there on a press conference and try to say, well, I knew about Jackson. No, you didn't. You didn't have conviction in the guy. You only went to get him because Dable pounded the table for him. Okay? You were going to sit back on your laurels and take Shedeur Sanders in the second round if he slipped that far. That's what you're hoping to do, right? You're hoping that Dart was off the table so you could got Shedeur in the second round and he could have showed up with that guy. Instead, what did you have? You have egg on your face. Your free agency signings. How dumb did he sound? Oh, well, if we can't sign a running back, we're not going to be able to get Runyon and Jermaine Oliver. What are you talking about? Are you kidding me? Your job is to figure it out. That is your job. That is your job.
What are you talking about?
Sorry, you didn't do the job to get the best player.
So we didn't get rid of this great football player. We wouldn't have this average football player. Right. Okay, thank you. Okay.
Are you kidding me with that? Like, like, that's your logic. That is what you're coming up here with. That is your bag right now. You should have said, I made a mistake. I should have signed Barkley. Looking at hindsight's 2020. No, you're like, well, like, I saw Barkley. I would have got Illuminor, who was an average tackle. Do you really think we wouldn't have been able to find somebody like Illuminor? Give me John
you already did. You drafted Marcus Bowe in the 5th round this year.
Exactly. and now Jermaine Illuminor is saying, I'm going to give you my last 4 games this year because you know his ass is not coming back. He's going to go cash in on payday because Mr. Short Change, Mr. Cheap Pockets didn't probably offer him a deal. Okay? So this guy is a complete moron. How could, again, I go back and say that some of the things that he said up there, you're just like, how do you have a job? Your job is to sign players. Your job is to put the best roster on the field. And your logic is, well, I couldn't sign 2 average players, so I had to get rid of an all-pro player.
It was like when they asked him that question, the way he was he was just dodging it and then came up with that bullshit. I was just like, dude, you didn't just say that. Like, you didn't really just say that. Well, okay, let's talk about something else. And it came up doing this is about the leadership. And he was mentioning how he feels like this team has so many good leaders on it. Brother, does you look at this football team on Sunday? Do it like a football team that's led by good leaders? No. I don't know what the fuck you're watching, Joe Shane, or what you're seeing, or what you're trying to sell. But I ain't buying it, bro. That press conference, man, if that doesn't get you fired, I don't know what else can. Because that was an absolute a train wreck, bro. It was a train wreck. All 20. I wish I could get that 20 minutes of my life back because it was such a waste of my time even listening to that shit.
Well,
It was talking about he has faith in his resources and whatnot. Like, how do you have faith
when they failed
in
you.
these resources when everything is failing? But you have faith in this?
Look,
Like, come on.
You know what's funny? Is someone talked about Hard Knocks and said, "Oh, we saw the Hard Knocks." I'm like, you've seen clips of Hard Knocks. What other footage is on there that we don't know that how dumb this guy is logically? Remember the famous line is, "Well, Philadelphia's out." Like, and Philadelphia ups the price and you lose Saquon Barkley because you don't have to negotiate. People laugh at Joe Shane because they know he's an idiot. He got bamboozled by his own friend and Dan Morgan to pay Brian Burns, who's happened to have a great season, can't complain, but paid Brian Burns out the ass. It's going to be a great contract at the end, but that's about it. Brian Burns is your only guy. You didn't find the quarterback. You lucked out on Marcus Membo. You drafted a bust who doesn't even dress in Evan Neal. You have a receiver in Jalen Hyatt. No burn. You have a bust of a corner who can't get on the field in DeAndre Banks. Okay, you're about to lose Flott because you decided not to pay him when you have a chance to pay him. Okay. And you didn't replace anything. Oh, the running back room. The running back room, which is full of a bunch of injured running backs, like that's what you're gonna rest your on. Tracy's injured.
Forgot about Tyrone Tracy getting hurt too. Yeah, forgot about that.
Injured. You brought in Eric Gray, who can't fucking see the field, and now he's going to be brought up. You don't want to bring on like that's what you're saying. Oh, we have a receiver. You have one receiver on this team worth a damn. You have one that shows up in games that doesn't show up in games. Wan'Dale Robinson, great against Detroit. Where the fuck was he against New England? Okay, you know what I'm saying? Like every week it's with these guys. So to me, you have one bona fide stud on offense. Well, two if you count the quarterback, who had a bad game this game, who is trying to will his team to win, but nobody else wants to will. How do you have great leadership? You know what the Giants used to do? They used to like overlap leaders. Lawrence Taylor with Michael Strahan. Michael Strahan with OCU and and Justin Tuck. Justin Tuck with Jason Pierre-Paul and all those guys, right? They kept the lineage going. They kept the Giant pride and all the like the family and the history and all the stuff that you wanted to be passed down to generation. They lost those guys. They let them walk out the building and they have nobody. They have a bunch of selfish, soft players who don't give a damn about this team, who aren't held accountable, who you can see it on the field, don't really give effort, okay? Except for a few guys here and there. You got $1 million players who don't show up. Where the hell is Javon Holland? Like, where's that guy? We can't do shit. And he's the one who hired Brian Daboll. I don't want him leading the process for this fucking thing. And he's talking about this. They flustered him at the end. Do you think guys are going to not show up? Yes, I would know. If I saw this press conference and I'm John Gruden and you say you want to interview me and you ask me, hey, do you think you can work with Joe Shane? I'd say, hell no. Hell no. If I'm Cliff Kingsbury, I'd probably say, hell no. I do know a guy in Washington, though, that I kind of like. I would consider him, right? That press conference didn't do anything for me except tell me he's getting fired. That's what it tells me. The more and more we dissect it, the more and more he has to be fired. He has to be.
He does. He's just completely. That press conference proved that he's completely incompetent, as far as I'm concerned. And no Mets. I'm pretty sure Adam is including Malik Neighbors in that when he says a stud on offense. That's what he's talking about.
Yes, Malik Neighbors and Jackson.
That's who he's referring to. Yeah, I just think that press conference it was a bad look, man. I don't feel bad for him because at this point I'm over his dumb ass and everything he stands for at this point. Like people were straight up asking. I mean, they were coming at his neck too. They were at like what about Daboll? You feel like Daboll is the one that got shown the door and you're still here. Like people directly asking you this shit, man. Like that's supposed to be your boy. Y'all supposed to have been a package deal. Y'all come together. Y'all should walk your ass out the door together. You know what I mean? Like that's how I feel like it should have went. But I will say, like Mike Francesca, I listen to his stuff. Tim talk a lot, just covers a lot of the New York sports stuff. And he did bring up something that might be a valid point as to why Joe Shane, one of the real reasons why Joe Shane was retained. And that's possibly because of the health of John Mara and you just having the guy that's here kind of just to at least navigate the rest of the season, even though he's not navigating us well by no means. But I think that makes a good point to that could be play into the fact of why.
Well, he did say 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Joe Shane many times. That's what I hung on. He said, I'm going to give my best effort and do what I can to give the resources to Mike Kafka these next 4 weeks. He did say that he's going to be reevaluated at the end, which to me means he's going to be fired. Everything he basically said to you was, I'm getting fired. Okay? That's what it told me. You're not making any roster moves. The rumor is that he's not really fucking doing much in the building anyways. So he's just there, right? And once they get their faculties about them, they're going to be able to. And I do believe that coaches are not going to want to come here and be under his leadership and say, listen, I don't want to be like, you might get like a Chris Shula, a Mike Shula or Clinton Kubiak who might want to do that. But if I'm an established guy like a Kingsbury or Nagy or McCarthy or Tomlin or one of those guys, let's say Tomlin may not be available, but people keep throwing his name out there, but let's just say an established guy with some kind of clout, even like a guy like Hafley, who's been a coach at Boston College. I don't want this guy leading me. I don't want him picking my players. I don't want him any part of this team because I don't want him to interfere with what I'm doing, right? And I think that's what worked with Coughlin back in the day is him and Ernie Accorsi. They didn't always like each other, but they knew what they needed, and they knew how to coach it. And they brought it in, they had an identity. Tom Coughlin had an identity. His identity was smash-mouth, hard-nosed football. We've gotten to a point where we want to be soft, and we've got to find a different coach that's going to be able to navigate us that way. And I believe Joe Shane's a hindrance.
Well, you got to get the coach in there that just flat out commands the respect, man. Like you mentioned Tom Coughlin. People can have a lot of opinions about Tom Coughlin, good, bad, and different, whatever. You know what I mean? But the fact of the matter is that man commanded respect. That man got respect. You know what I mean? It didn't matter. Star player Michael Strahan, you 5 minutes late to a meeting. You show up right on time to a meeting. He considers that late. You're getting fined. I don't give a fuck if you're the star player or not. You got to command that kind of respect. And we need a coach that can command that level of respect to overhaul this. We can't just, like I said, I can't. We can't just. It can't be some run of the mill. You know what I mean? Anybody just coming in. It needs to be someone with instant credibility that can come in and say, "Look, sit down, look forward, pencils in hand, take notes." You know what I mean? And that's what it is. Point blank and period. Well, it's none of this like this soft ass shit we're seeing and dealing with. This is what happens when you lose control of the football team. This is a football team that the inmates are absolutely running the asylum, and it's just nothing. Like I said, people hated. Some people hated Michael Strahan. Absolutely hated Tom Coughlin his first year dealing with Tom Coughlin. I mean, in them last couple of years, he absolutely hated the guy, but he got the fucking message. He was a superstar of the team, and he still got the message because nobody is above the team. Nobody, and you got to set that kind of tone, and that's just not. It's not here. It's not, like I said. You got a rookie who got one damn sack on the season, thinking he can show up late to meetings and shit like that. You allowing that bullshit to go down in the building? Give me a break. Give me a fucking break. Tom Coughlin would have deaded that shit in the head from the door.
Well, he had a leadership council of guys that could police the guys in the locker room. Okay, nobody is doing that. And the worst part is the reason why this is also a bad look for Kafka and that why everybody should be fired is that we've had a history of incidents with this coaching staff and this leadership that lead me to believe that you need to clean the entire thing out. They need to just clean house and get rid of this guy and everything that comes with it. Even Kafka, I'm sorry, just get rid of it and let a new set of eyes come in here, GM, coach, and evaluate the roster top to bottom and say, you know what, I'll keep Dart. I like him. I like his potential, so I'll keep him. I don't want to keep this guy. This guy cost me too much. And go down the list and see what works for you, what doesn't. Because right now, I'm going to tell you this right now. I don't believe that anyone's going to want to come here and outside of free agents because they're going to be desperate. They know Joe Shane's going to be desperate. He's always going to shop hungry. You're always going to be taking advantage of him. And I don't want that as a GM. I want people that are going to – people are already coveting this job because of Jackson Dart and because of some of the personnel that we have. The one caveat is, do I want to work with a bumbling idiot? And if I'm a mainstream coach, I don't want to be linked to him. So, and as we keep unpacking this, I believe he's fired in my eyes. I believe he's fired because the way they put him out there in the press conference, how he was talking in the press conference, and he keeps saying that he's going to be evaluated. I think you've got to fire him because the culture right now is falling apart. You've got guys tweeting on Facebook or Twitter or whatever, right? You've got guys like Illuminor saying this is their last 4 weeks that they're going to give you. You've got Abdul Carter fighting with fans and not taking responsibility for things. Like, we need to get rid of Joe Shane as well, part of this whole regime that came in. He hired Brian Dable. It was with the sham of an interview session that they went through because you knew it was going to be him the entire time. I don't want that. I don't want a guy that's going to come in and go. I want a guy that's going to come in. He's going to sit there and go unearth every candidate. He'll listen to everybody and make the right choice. Don't make the choice because the guy has a name. Make the choice because you believe he's the right man for the job. Don't give the job because he has fucking giant ties. Okay? I don't hear that bullshit. All right? If the guy if you want to do head coaches, dip into the college ranks. See if you can pry one of the good college coaches that might be up and coming in there. Interview them. Make no stone unturned. Right? My guy, you guys know my top guy is Cliff Kingsbury. You got a guy pulling from the division. You hurt the division. You get a guy who's already been with an Arizona team. It turns out he's the best coach they've had there, right? He's the only coach that's brought them to the playoffs. The Cardinals, which was a shit show, and made them somewhat respectable when it was there, which is a hard thing to do with a team that's like the Cardinals. And he's innovative offense. I think he's a guy that may not – I don't know who's going to pick as a defensive coach, but you saw that things worked out. Kyler Murray was more of the problem than Cliff Kingsbury. They went after Kyler Murray, and Cliff Kingsbury got kicked out the league, right? But he's here. He's a guy that I would interview. You got Halfley. You got other guys out there that could do this job. Don't just be like, oh. And maybe you have a guy like Tomlin. If the Steelers collapse and they're like, you know what, Tomlin, we're going to go in a different direction. I don't want you to be like, well, I'm hell bent on hiring, Clint Kubiak because his last name's Kubiak, right? Like, no, I just make sure you get it right. And if it means you have to get a new GM in here, do it. And if that means he has to blow the whole thing up, fine. But allow a new set of eyes in here because this roster is his. And all the players that you're going to bring in from now on are going to be his players that another regime, that another coach may or may not be able to work with, and they're going to have to be kept because of your ego and you not being able to, handle that teams are being bust. Like, last thing I'll say, this team's going to be gutted next year, regardless. Like, you're not signing half his draft classes. The 2022 draft class, what? I'm not signing Kayvon Thibodeau to a big deal now that he's injury prone. Evan Neal's not going to be here. 2023, that most of that class you're not signing. Like, you don't have a lot of guys in 4 drafts that you want to hang your hat on. He's got to go.
Yeah, he's not. I don't think he's leaving Notre Dame. It's Notre Dame's coach, right?
Yeah, I think he's all right in this spot.
Yeah, he's not leaving Notre Dame. I don't think.
I wouldn't.
But
not to come work with Joe Shane.
But no, that's the thing about that. Like you just said, see, I don't really want to talk too much about Mike Tomlin because the Steelers, the way they do business, until he's available, he's not available because he's not getting fired, folks. Mike Tomlin will not be fired by the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's not going to happen. All right, and the only way he's leaving the Steelers is on his own terms, pretty much. So unless he just decide to step down on his own and decide to step down, he's not going to be available. That's why I haven't really talked about Mike Tomlin myself personally. But like I said, you get the Mike McCarthy's of the world, guys like that. Like I said, if you just need to bring some kind of proven when somebody that can come in and be like had to kind of go to be like, I'm not working with this guy though, with Joe Shane. So you need to definitely get somebody that can come. Like I feel like you get some of these college guys, they're just happy to be coaching in the NFL. You know what I mean? In a sense, so to speak, where it's like they're not going to come in. It's not going to be too much pushback. I need some pushback. I need somebody that understands the situation and how dire it is. And Joe Shane ain't it. He got to go. It's got to start. He's got to get the fuck up out of here because he's the problem, man. I mean, like I said, just if you listen to that presser, which I never will listen to ever again. It was just a joke. Like I said, like how do you keep your job after even that? Just like everything was so non-committal in that press conference. I mean, Kafka's a good leader. You actually said those words? Kafka's a good leader. We need to set this team up for success for the rest of the season so Mike Kafka can have some success the rest of the season? What? Success in the New York Giants shouldn't even be going together in the same sentence, bro. Nothing successful about the New York Giants right now at all. Nothing successful about them at all. So it's got to start with Shane. Until they get rid of him, I think we're going to have a hard time in our coaching search. I feel like unless they get rid of him immediately following the season, I think he needs to be dismissed, put down. You know what I mean? Because I think we're not going to get any serious coaching candidates wanting to come here with Joe Shane as GM. I'm just sorry. That guy's a clown. From Hard Knocks a couple of years ago to everything we've seen since. It's just been bad. And to think there was one point in time, I used to actually like Joe Shane a little bit. Thought, hey, this guy ain't that bad. But yeah, he's a fucking idiot. And he's got to go. He has got to go. But I don't know. Adam, you want to talk about these games next week? Because we're getting kind of late into the show here. We need to start talking about previewing these games. Let's Giants on a bye week, much needed. And thank God we don't have to suffer through another Giants game this week. But the Washington Commanders going up to Minnesota, two teams, disappointing seasons. Neither one of them very good, but Washington really showed some promise on Sunday night. And if I feel like they get that quarterback out there they played against Minnesota played on Sunday, if that guy's running back out there again, I don't think Minnesota has much of a chance against anybody, to be honest. And I don't know how you feel about this one, Adam.
What game? Sorry.
Washington and Minnesota. It's in Minnesota.
I think Washington's going to win. I think the Minnesota Vikings are scrambling at quarterback right now, and people don't realize Jaden McCarthy. It's really his rookie year, right? They were trying to tell you all this reps. When you're injured and on injured reserve, you're not really in team meetings. You're not really around the facility. You're not really taking the mental reps that they think you're taking. And you're seeing it right now, and they have nobody on there. And if that guy gets fired, Kevin O'Connell, he's a guy I'd like to look at. But I think the Vikings are reeling. I think the Viking defense did play well last week. They kept their team in the game somewhat, but they can only do so much, right? They fumbled. They made Sam Darnold fumble. They made him look bad. They had some stops, but when you're throwing in pick sixes and you can't get out of your own way, I just think the Commanders are going to, they're going to try. The Commanders, this is in their weight class right now, and I think they're going to steal one from Minnesota. I kind of hope Minnesota kind of gets blown out a little bit because I want their coach if they decide to fire him. But again, that's just me being a fan. But I think Commanders are going to win.
Yeah, I like the Commanders. I don't know the status of J.J. McCarthy's playing. I don't even know if it matters that much. I just think he gives them a better chance, obviously, because he's a lot better than that quarterback that they had out there this past weekend. But I still think Washington, they look impressive even in defeat on Sunday night. And I just think, like I said, circumstances the way they are, looks like Minnesota, a lot of their guys seem to be kind of giving up on this season. Justin Jefferson was absolutely pissed off on Sunday after that game. I think Washington. I think Washington does get the win here. I think they haven't. I can't even remember the last time Washington won a football game. It's been forever. It has been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 straight losses for the Commanders. Yeah, I think they're due, and I think this is where they get their mojo back with the next couple of games for the Washington Commanders. They could put together those two game win streak coming up, man. Here we're looking at their next couple of games, so. It's a possibility. So
Conan's back in their wheelhouse. I mean, I just look at I know momentum doesn't mean much, but last week they played a pretty good Denver team. And if they give that same effort again, if some butts are candies and nuts, every day would be Christmas. But if they give that same effort, I think they have a better chance of winning against Minnesota than they do against a team like Denver. But they went toe-to-toe with a team that we think might be going deep in the playoffs. So
absolutely.
That's got to count for something in terms of their confidence going forward and what they believe in. And I think they've fixed the defense a little bit, not like they fix it. It's still a problem. But what I mean is they play more sound. It looked like on Sunday night. So we'll see. I'm picking them to win.
Yeah, I like Washington here. I think we will get a similar effort, and I just think that's going to be a little too much for Minnesota to handle. Plus, I just really feel like this team is desperate for a win, and that doesn't mean a whole lot. But I just feel like 7 games they've lost 7 straight, and I think this is finally the week they get a team that's like you said earlier in their weight class, and I think they get the job done, man, against the Vikings. All right, let's see. The Eagles got man. The Eagles got the Chargers on Monday Night Football, man. And we don't know the status of Justin Herbert yet. That definitely will have an impact on this football game. Also, another somebody else's status I'm not sure about is one Mr. Omarion Hampton, who may be possibly be making a return this week against the Eagles, having an extra day to possibly get elevated back off of the injured reserve. So we'll see if he's able to get back into the lineup. That could be a game changer for the Chargers as well. That kid, the young kid, very dynamic. How do you feel about the Eagles against the Chargers on Monday night out in LA?
I think Chargers are going to beat them. Regardless of if they have Herbert, I don't think they need him. They don't. I don't know. I don't know who their backup is. I got to look that up. But I do believe they will be able to protect Herbert if he does play. Herbert sounds optimistic, but again, players are players. You can't take their word for it. But I think the Eagles need this game more so than necessarily. I think the Eagles need this game, and I think the Chargers realize, this is the reigning Super Bowl champ. We want to see if we stack up to that team. And unfortunately, right now, he's looking injured, Justin Herbert. He didn't practice today, at least, or they said he might not. So, I don't know if it's going to be that hard, but they have a solid run game, and they gave up 200 yards to Chicago. Again, you can't always base trends from last week. But if I'm Jim Harbaugh and I'm looking at a weakness and I might have a backup quarterback in the game, I'm going to use my right now they have Trey Lance as their quarterback, right? If he would come in, I'm not saying that he would, but Trey Lance offers you a little bit of running ability. It's a little different dynamic, and he'll be able to function in that offense enough for them to probably be able to win the game. And that defense is playing pretty good, and that offense for the Eagles is not. And that's why I think the Chargers are going to have their advantages on defense. Their defense is pretty good. And I think playing in LA on Monday Night Football under the bright lights, I think they're going to show up, and I think they're going to show out, and I think they're going to want again, I believe, Super Bowl champion and a team that's struggling right now, 2-game losing streak. The Eagles haven't been on 2-game losing streak in a while. I don't think, back-to-back losses, maybe in 2023. They're reeling right now. And I just think the Chargers have a chance. You never know what's going to happen with Denver. You still have to play them a couple times. Keep it rolling, baby. Keep it rolling.
I don't know. I'm on the fence with this one, man. I feel a lot better if I knew for sure Herbert was going to be able to play and be effective. Because, like I said, even if he goes out there and plays, no guarantee he's going to be effective. Even with it being his non-throwing hand, he's not going to probably be able to take snaps under center. You know what I mean, and stuff like that. He'll probably be in shotgun, relegated to shotgun all night, and it's just kind of it just makes you a little more predictable offensively when you're limited a little bit. So I don't know how I feel. Every time I want to give this dumbass Eagles team the benefit of the doubt, they go out there and they just let me down. They drop the ball like they did this past week, man. On Friday they dropped the ball, and I feel like offensively this team just doesn't. They're not complete offensively for whatever reason. They don't give you enough. So you know what? I'm gonna go with it. I'm at 3 in a row for the Eagles, man. I'm going with the Chargers as well at home, Monday Night Football. I think the Eagles go out there and kind of give us the same thing they've been giving us, which is like really lackluster offense and just not able to just keep up with the Chargers, who could potentially, if they get on a roll, they can blow the doors off.
Vidal was good last week, right? Mac Vidal, right? He ran all over the place last week. He has a chance to do it again against this team that gave up 200 yards against the Bears. So, when you look at those factors right now in the offense that is struggling for that, I don't think they're going to change anything tomorrow. Okay, they should have changed it over the bye week, and that's give 26 the ball. They still haven't figured that out, and they haven't figured it out in 2 games, in 2 critical games. Okay, so for me, this is the reason why I know they're getting that extra practice time in and extra days in, but I just don't believe in them right now offensively. And I just think the Chargers, want to make a statement on Monday Night Football, and Jim Harbaugh is going to, want to get those guys to say, "Hey, listen, we beat this team, we beat that team. Let's go show them what Charger football is really about."
Absolutely. What is going on too, though, man? Happy
Kudos.
holidays to you, man, over in France, man. Good luck to you, man. And I will pray for your victims because I know you coming after them, man. I know you're gonna get after them, man. So I will definitely pray for your victims, upcoming victims, man. Hope you're enjoying life over there in France right now, man. Enjoying that. Good to see you as always, too, though. And we just talking about the NFC East like we do on Wednesday. Me and Adam just breaking down the NFC East. That's how we do every Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. But I like the Eagles. I mean, I like the Chargers. I'm just losing faith in this Eagles team. I think we could possibly be seeing a similar collapse like we saw in 2023 from this football team. And I think they better watch out for the Dallas Cowboys, man, who we can already talk about that one right now. The Dallas Cowboys going out to Detroit tomorrow night, man, Thursday night football, taking on the Detroit Lions, two teams desperately needing to win. The Cowboys just needing to win to keep themselves, to keep themselves on pace to possibly overtake the Eagles. And the Detroit Lions need a win just to kind of get back into the mix of potentially securing a playoff berth at all. Because right now, playoff started, the Detroit Lions would not be in it. So, what's your thoughts on this one, Adam?
Oh, I think the Lions are meeting a Cowboy team that is starting to heat up, and I think, unfortunately, for the Lions, I just think they're not going to be able to handle that Dallas Cowboy offense. And while I do think Jamar Gibbs is going to have a good game, the Cowboys are hot and they're making stops here and there. They don't have to. They don't have to be. They're not a great defense, but they have enough to get a quarterback like Jared Goff off his spot. They have enough to make the quarterback like a Jared Goff throw interceptions. You know what I mean? So that's what I think is going to happen. And also, their run defense hasn't been spectacular at all. And I think Javonte Williams is going to have another good game. He's close to 1,000 yards. And I think Dak is playing spectacular football right now. And remember, they gave up 27 points to the New York Giants. Okay, they gave up a lot of points to Green Bay last week. They were in a dogfight, right? Their offense, you want to talk about somebody's offense struggling? The Lions' offense is having trouble as well. They are like a car that, I don't know if any of you got new cars, but my car does this and it annoys the fucking shit out of me. They put this mechanism in where a car automatically stops at a stoplight if you don't hit like a button to turn it off. It's like, oh, it's saving money. And then you hit the gas and it'll rev back up, right? That's like the Lions offense. They'll get going, they'll hit a stop, they'll turn off, and then they have to like rev themselves back up again. And that's how I feel like their games go. They're not the smooth, efficient offense that they were last year, moving the ball, doing this, where you're like, 8, 9, 10, 11 play drives. No, they'll score in like bunches, and then they'll punt the ball away, and they'll do this. And then it's always, to me right now for the Lions, maybe it's because of Dan Campbell and how he's calling plays. But ever since he took over, they had that one explosion, and then they kind of clunked their way through these games. And to me, I just think that's going to keep going. And a team like the Cowboys, who are like a car on the highway, finely tuned, driving, and their motor is running, they're not stalling out every time. They might stall out because of a drop pass, but it's not as clunky. It's smooth. The guys are getting open. George Pickens is a beast, right? Where, and then defensively, they don't need to do much for this Lions team. They just need to do enough to get them off the field. And the Lions, who have been clunky on offense, will be able to keep the Cowboys in this game. And I just think the Cowboys are playing good football, and they know what the message is. They know what it is. One game at a time. We control our own destiny. We win this game. We have a shot.
Yeah. These are two teams right now. Like I feel like are just playing completely going in different directions right now. Detroit has not looked good for the past few weeks at all, and Dallas Cowboys they're starting turning things around, man. Like offensively, this team has never had a problem offensively this season. They've been pretty solid offensively, rock solid. It's been all good, but I feel like where the thing is with this Cowboys resurgence is the defense, man. Defense is starting to really show up, man. They're starting to make plays. I feel like ever since they got Overshown back, that's been a big big plus for this defense for the last couple of weeks. Him getting back in the lineup, he has been making an impact on this defense. And now they're getting Diggs back. Potentially, they'll be getting Diggs back in the lineup too soon, man. So this Cowboys team, you talk about getting hot at the right time. This could be one of those stories where just like that, where they're getting hot at the right time, and it's clicking on Austin. It's one thing when they went out there and they had to worry about just trying to outscore people, but now their defense is actually legitimately stopping people. So it's. I think that's the difference in this football game. I think the Lions go down to the Dallas Cowboys. I think the Lions are cooked right now, man. I think people got them figured out and they're cooked. And I feel like the Cowboys are going to take care of business tomorrow night because they're just on a roll right now, and it's hard to bet against them.
Well, another thing that we don't mention is momentum, right? You don't know what a game like Kansas City does for a team. You just beat the best team in the AFC conference, right? The Patrick Mahomes, didn't get you. People weren't really 100% with you. You just beat the Eagles, the week prior to that. You just beat the two best teams in football last year. Now you're looking at Detroit, whoever you had success against, right? Who is a team that's reeling and is kind of stuck in their ways. It's time to pounce, right? Do not give the Lions a chance to come up and breathe. Make it a track meet. They don't have the horses right now to make the track meet, right? With I think they lost Amon-Ra St. Brown for a game, right? I think they lost him. I don't know if he's going to play this game. He got banged up in the last game, right? So now you don't have to worry about Jameson Williamson, and then you just stack the box against this Lions team and make some tackles. I just think the Cowboys right now are playing. They're playing their best football, and their defense, which had Eberflus, is starting to figure it out. Right, it took them long enough to get there, and now they have the playmakers to stop. And when you have a guy like Quinnen Williams who can help free up Kenny Clark, free up Odighizuwa, guys are starting to buy in. Dante Fowler's, as Arikis are coming through. Right, and you start the Logan Wilson's underrated move, right? Their linebacking core is now solid with Murray, Overshown, and Wilson. To me, that's three good linebackers as well that can do a lot of things. So, with that being said, and having the 10-day layoffs, right, back-to-back weeks, allowing you to get more guys healthy, allowing you to get more guys ingratiated into the defense. I just think it doesn't bode well for the Lions. And I know the Lions are taking their time off and whatnot, but I just feel like what I saw on Thursday gives me pause that they may not be the team that we thought they were.
Thank you, Tudo. I'm glad you're enjoying your assignment over there in France, Tudo, right now, man. And I wish your team nothing but the best of luck, man. I hope you guys take care of business for the holidays, man. No doubt, man. But yeah. So I like everything you said. I agree with Adam. I just think this Dallas team is looking very dangerous right now. I mean, you see when things start shaking up. I mean, all around the league, you're looking at the way things are starting to stack up, man, all around the league. And right now, this Dallas team has really got a lot of momentum going, man. And if they do win tomorrow night, and the Eagles lose and the Eagles lose on Monday, whew, we're going to have some interesting conversations next Wednesday on this show, brother. I'm gonna tell you that right now, because
I guarantee you, we're probably going to have that interesting conversation because I just don't feel. I don't know if the Cowboys have turned the corner per se, but it's when you tell somebody that something's in your grasp and you can control your own destiny, you just got to win your games, and the schedule favors them. I mean, if they beat Detroit, right, they have the Chargers, who I think are beatable, right? The Eagles still have the Bills and the Commanders team, who, for all intents and purposes, may want to knock them out. Where the Giants won't, where you have the Giants not going to do that. Minnesota's probably not going to do that. So the one game that the Cowboys, the two games the Cowboys look at is Detroit and LA. We get through those two hard parts and handle our business against teams that we should be. We could be in this thing. And you got to start thinking like that because you are at the end of the year.
Okay, yeah, I'll check it out too, though. I'll try to find it on there, but I definitely got it, and I appreciate that, man. I'll try to look it up and try so I can check y'all game out, man. For real, for sure. But Yeah, this is. Yeah, I think I'm right with you with the Cowboys. It's going to be interesting to watch, man. Definitely tuning in tomorrow night and then be locked in on Monday night because if the Cowboys win tomorrow night, that game is the pressure is on for the Philadelphia Eagles on Monday night, and I'm not
Let's send the
sure.
Cowboys. Well, let's see it. We want to see it. Let's see the fight down the stretch. I want to see it. Cowboys, handle your
I'm not
business.
sure. Yeah, I'm not sure they can handle the pressure. Eagles can handle the pressure right now with the way they're playing. I'm just not. I'm not buying it, and this Cowboys team, they're feeling themselves. They believe in themselves again. And like something you mentioned all season, Dak Prescott. Let's face it, all intents and purposes, he's been playing great football most of the season. He's had a couple of shaky games, but other than that, rock solid football. He actually has, he has the stuff. And what George Pickens has brought to the table, like you said, they need to be signing George Pickens yesterday. You know what I mean? Like I don't know what they're waiting for with that. And so, like I said, it's gonna be interesting. Like I said, I'm hoping for interesting. So I'm hoping that the Cowboys. It's weird to say, but I kind of just for the intent, just for the sake of good conversation pieces. I hope the Cowboys kind of take care of business and the Eagles drop the ball so we can have this more compelling conversations the rest of the way, man. Because I know this, I know the schedule makers are like hindsight wishing, like, oh, why didn't we schedule the Eagles and Cowboys for the last game of the season? I mean, I know they're wishing they did that, but it is what it is.
Like you said, each team is playing a divisional opponent. And depending on what these next 5 weeks bring, we think the Eagles are going to stumble here and there, and we think the Cowboys concede their destiny in front of them. So I think the schedule makers did exactly what they needed to, and they're going to have what I believe are play-in games. If I think it's going to come down to whoever, if the Eagles win their game against Washington, they'll be the division winner. If they lose and the Cowboys win, they'll be the division winner, right? I think the Cowboys lose, they're out no matter what. I think it's going to come down to one of those scenarios. Just how I feel like when you go down the stretch, you can tell a team that's feeling themselves, and you can tell a team that's starting to slowly crack, and people are starting to figure them out. And if they lose, and I'm telling you, the Commanders, I feel, are going to be able to, if they get Jaden Daniels back, I think they'll be able to handle the Eagles offensively. Defensively, it'll be a different story. But right now, their offense it looks dysfunctional. Outside of the Cowboy offense, which it doesn't look dysfunctional. Like you said, their defense is starting to make a few plays here and there. And that's all you need. You need a bend but don't break defense to get to the playoffs, right? And right now, run game is bad. Whoever stops the run in the next 2 weeks, the next 5 weeks will be in the playoffs. That's how it's going to come down. If the Eagles can't stop the run, they're not going to be in the playoffs. Period.
And you heard it. That's what it is, man. Like I said, it's going to take that. Like we mentioned earlier in the show, there's only the winner of this division is going to the postseason. They're not going to be a wild card team out of this division. Just don't foresee that happening unless a lot of other teams collapse all of a sudden, and I don't see that happening. So, it's going to be interesting. I will definitely touch base with those guys and try to find out where I can exactly find, because there's a lot of channels on there, and it's hard to sift through all that stuff sometimes. But I'll touch base with Lou or something and find out exactly where I can find it. I would love to watch one of your games, man, for sure, man. Watch you guys go out there and handle some business on the rugby field. But Adam, you got any final thoughts before we wrap it up and get up out of here, man?
Joe Shane sucks and he needs to be fired.
We definitely on the same page with that. 1,000% for sure. Like I said, this guy is incompetent and a total loser, as far as I'm concerned. And as long as he's here, we're going to continue to lose. Not going to win when you have a loser running things at the top of your franchise, man. I appreciate you, Jay, man. No doubt, always coming through, man. Showing love. I definitely appreciate you, man.
Thanks, man.
And no Mets, no Nets, no Jets. Tudo. Anybody else that was in the chat, man, we appreciate you guys coming through, supporting the stream, man, supporting the show. Make sure y'all go to my channel at MacDaGiantsFan, hit that like, subscribe, and ring the bell for when I'm dropping new content. Go to Adam's channel at Adams Costas, hit the like, subscribe for his channel as well. Continue to help our channels grow, man. The Hardcore Sports Network can also go there, hit the like, subscribe, support the streams over there, man, and just continue to help all of us content creators grow, man. Don't cost nothing to hit that subscribe button, man. You know what I mean? Just help us grow, man. Help us, keep continuing to put this content out to you guys, man. We glad y'all appreciate it. And we definitely appreciate y'all, man. So I am Mac the Giants fan, This is my guy, the super dope co-host Adam Costas. We getting up out of here, man. We'll be back next Wednesday night. Same bat time, man. Same bat channels, man. All right. So enjoy the rest of y'all evening. Enjoy a good weekend of football without having to torture yourselves watching the New York Giants.
I'd like to thank you all for listening. If you was feeling this, please take time to subscribe and smack them likes. Feel free to drop a comment. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to ring that bell so you know when I'm dropping new content. It's your boy, Mac the Giants Fan. You can find me on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook at Mac the Giants Fan. That's MACDA Giants Fan.